Hello, welcome back to the channel. I've been in this industry for 25 years. Over half of that I have dedicated to bike fitting. Many of you in the comments section have been asking, how do I choose a bike fitter? Can you recommend somebody in this part of the world or that? I thought I would try and arm you with some information as to how to choose the right bike fit, what to expect, and when to run out of the room screaming. So stay tuned. Here is what you should, or rather shouldn't, expect from a bike fit. So something that absolutely categorically should not be left out of a bike fit is physical assessment. Here at Bicycle, we start every bike fit with a standing evaluation to get an understanding of a rider's spinal posture, whether there are any imbalances in muscle bulk, and generally we're looking for visual cues as to whether there might be a leg length discrepancy present. We get them on a massage table to assess hip flexion, hip mobility, further screen them for a leg length discrepancy, as well as assessing hamstring range. We also measure the foot in a number of different ways. We measure length, width, arch length, as well as arch height and arch drop. It's absolutely imperative that you have an understanding of the rider before you start looking at them on the bike, because understanding how they function off the bike is going to greater inform you as to how they function on the bike. Without doing it, you're literally flying blind. One aspect of bike fitting that is almost always overlooked, or very commonly overlooked, is the foot-shoe pedal interface. When I say foot-shoe pedal interface, I'm talking about everything that encompasses the foot. So by that, we're talking about the shoe, what's inside the shoe for arch support, wedging, and whereabouts that's going to be placed, what's outside of the shoe, where the cleats are located, whether the stance is considered, so how far apart the feet are, whether there's any external wedging, and also whether the shoe fits itself. This is the single most important part of your bike fit. It is the most misunderstood and the most overlooked. Without doing this properly, you cannot remotely begin to expect for a customer to be effective on a bicycle. We've found we can reduce pressure going through the saddle by up to 50% just by putting arch support in the shoes. We can cure things like foot pain, knee pain, saddle issues, even things like numb feet with this part of the fit. So it's crucial that you absolutely get this nailed down. If your bike fitter is messing around with your saddle height and other aspects of the fit and they haven't even considered your shoes yet, that's cause for concern. Here at Bicycle, we carry over 700 pairs of shoes. When we stock a model, we carry every single size from 36 to 50, including half sizes. We even give you the choice of black or white, because one of the biggest fallacies of trying cycling shoes on is that you take a shoe off of the shop floor, you go, oh, you know, that looks nice, can I try these on a 10? But they're not 10, they're an 8 with wide feet. This customer tries them on in the shop, they walk around in the shop, and then they go, oh, they feel all right, and then they go and ride a bike. The problem with that is usually there is no consideration for arch support and what's going on inside of the shoe, and that has a direct influence over the size of the shoe. So there you have it. Make sure your bike fitter is looking at your shoes, what's going on inside the shoe and what's going on outside. Make sure your fitter is taking into consideration all four planes when they're looking at you on a bike. So it's very commonplace in bike fitting to see a jig like this, or a bike in a turbo trainer kind of pushed up against a wall, and then a camera videoing the rider from just one side. Here at Bicycle, we film from the right hand side, the left, the front, and the rear. So make sure your fitter is having a look from all around you, not just from one side. It's useful to book in with a fitter that has a reasonable amount of experience. It's very common in bike fitting to see an individual from the sales floor who's been on a 3-day course, no failure rate, they pay the money, they pass their test, and then they're unleashed upon the world to go and set people's saddles too high, with very little follow-up or consideration for that fitter's further education. It also pays to book with a fitter who has multiple accreditations from different educators. The reason this is important is that nobody is the messiah when it comes to bike fitting, and it's important to understand or take into consideration multiple points of view to get a better overall picture or understanding of how a rider is best placed on a bicycle. Your fitter should have at least the ability to experiment with different handlebar widths. One of the things with bike fitting is that a lot of it is about comparative testing. As I said earlier, nobody is the messiah, nobody's the all-knowing, all-seeing. Even the most experienced eye might not have it right. So it's important to be able to test things and experiment with things. Ugh. Just because your shoulders are a certain width doesn't mean that that's the right width handlebar for you. I know I've said it before that your shoulder width should more or less match your handlebar width, and that is true, but there is deviation from that. Some people prefer a slightly wider handlebar, some people prefer a slightly narrower handlebar. Again, you don't know until you try. In the same light as handlebar experimentation, it's important to be able to experiment with different types of saddles, different brands, different shapes, and different sizes. As we've said before on the channel, saddle selection is far less subjective than it's commonly made out to be. It doesn't hurt for you to be able to have a selection of saddles to try. Furthermore, just because your fitter has a posh pressure mapping system, like we have, it doesn't mean to say that they're going to get you in the right saddle. We've generally found that pressure mapping systems are better off at showing what positional interventions have yielded rather than necessarily a change in saddle. Something to be aware of is bike fitters that reside in shops. Now, some of you may think that I am a bike fitter residing in a shop. This is really a bike fitting company. We do have bikes on display, but we're really all about the bike fitting. The problem with fitters that reside within bike shops, bearing in mind that I used to be one, particularly big bike shops, is that there is generally quite a big focus on selling people stuff. We sell lots of stuff in here, but that is not our aim. The aim here is to get people as comfortable and performing as well as they can possibly be. Sometimes that requires the purchase of products, sometimes it doesn't. But I have been on training courses whereby certain large bike manufacturers have said to a classroom of would-be bike fitters, if you do more bike fitting, you will make more money. The whole premise of these courses was prescriptive selling. Measure the arches, sell a footbed. Measure the feet, sell a shoe. Measure the sit bones, sell a saddle. It was all about cookie cutter bike fitting to improve a bike shop's ability to sell the customer more stuff. That is not what bike fitting is about. I'm not saying completely avoid bike fitters that reside within bike shops. Try and go to a bike shop that specializes in bike fitting rather than just a big, massive bike shop that's plugged a bike fit studio in there to improve their profit margins. The key here is that you want to be able to get results. And in order for you to get results, your fitter has to want you to get results. What I'm getting at here is that there should be some sort of follow-up process. Now, we have automated follow-up processes which email all of our customers after they've been fitted to make sure that they're still happy. Thankfully, we have very few people coming back. Furthermore, if you have a fit here at Bicycle with any of our fitters and you're still having pain afterwards, you come back for free. That is our commitment to you, because somebody wise once said that bike fitting is a process, not just an event. And sometimes it requires a little bit of time for you to get used to the changes that are being made within a session. So I know what you're thinking. This is a minefield. Where do I go? How do I choose a fitter? How do I know if a fitter is good or not? The silver lining is the IBFI, which is the International Bike Fitting Institute. It's now under new stewardship with a greater focus on actual bike fitters rather than doctors and physiotherapists. It used to be a bit of an old boys club and they seem to all just point people in the direction of their mates. Anyway, it's under the stewardship of Lee Prescott, who is a lifelong bike fitter and also a friend. And the organisation is now committed to promoting bike fitters with a focus on education and genuinely getting the best results for their customers. So on their website, they have a Find a Fitter tool, which you can filter by country and also by fitting certification. They have 4 different tiers of bike fitter. If you select any given tier, it will filter fitters based on that certification level. In this country, in the UK, you can see that there are 7 IBFI level 4 bike fitters, which is their highest tiers, what they call a master bike fitter. Whereas you will probably find there to be over 200 in the UK of varying degrees of certification level. This will aid in removing the guesswork from the equation when helping you to select a fitter, and hopefully gives a little bit more transparency as to that fitter's education and experience. So there you have it. Hopefully it's now a little bit clearer as to what you should avoid, what to look for, and when to run out of the room screaming. If you'd like to book a bike fit, have a look in the description below. There are direct links there so you can book in straight with us. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't. We'll see you for the next one.